Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Ms. Sangeeta, and all the other members of the Apollo family for being here today. The members of the press for being here today. It's an extremely important day for me, both personally and professionally. It coincidentally happens to be my dad's anniversary today. And it's a very important landmark in my life as a doctor. There's a great transition that I have witnessed from being an emergency medicine physician to home care. I just want to share what Apollo Home Care is all about. Just exactly 1.5 years ago, Dr. Reddy and we had a small discussion. He's been talking about this for quite some time. And thereafter, we've been working on this concept. And today, ladies and gentlemen, this baby is there in front of you. It's called Apollo Home Care. Let me walk you through what this logo stands for. In this service of home health care, there are 3 components which are fundamental: the home, the health, and the care. So you look at home care are the 2 fundamental elements which are captured in bold. And health in India, if you look at an equivalent of high quality health, it is demonstrated by nobody else than Apollo. Therefore, Apollo sits on top of that and signifies the highest standard of healthcare delivery. Being the pioneers, being the leaders, carrying the flame of leadership is the lady with the torch there. That signifies leadership. And also, there is no gap between the logo and the home care branding that you're seeing that tells that we are talking about continuity of care. And that continuity is reflected in the 2 hyphens that you see beyond "We are your family," coming from the flame. And that signifies end-to-end comprehensive care in healthcare. Nobody else but Apollo can promise that. It's an aspiration for every home health, any healthcare provider. And more so, I remember my first interaction with Dr. Reddy in the emergency room, and he said, "Mahesh, if you ever treat a patient, treat him like your family member." And this is what he has given as a mantra to every physician that he's interacted. We said, why not take this our aspiration as our tagline? That's where the "We are your family" story comes in. That's the promise that we want to make to people, that we are reaching out to you as a family member, not just a healthcare provider. That's, ladies and gentlemen, the brief about Apollo Home Care logo and where the philosophy behind it comes from. So if we move forward on what the whole story is about Apollo Home Healthcare, instead of me talking about it, let me share with you a story of one of the patients that we handled in our run-up to this day. This is a gentleman who was treated on the outskirts of Hyderabad in a hospital and had chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, an airway disorder which is chronic in nature. Every single day, a lot of us either sleep or get up with the worry about our parents back home. And it's important that somebody addresses this gap in the healthcare system. Home care is that initiative to reach beyond hospitals, to patients and their families, to not just add years to the life, but also add life to the years that are there ahead of us. There are many drivers to this, and there are many factors which tell us very starkly that somebody has to take a big leap into home health care. The first and fundamental thing is people are living for longer time, but they are living with illnesses which are chronic in nature, which are recurrent, which need recurrent visits, recurrent hospitalizations. We are one of the largest population of geriatric people, 100 million people expected to grow up to 300 million by 2050. While we talk of demographic dividend of the youth, it's important to have our eye onto the elderly people also. There is a changing social scenario. When I was brought up, most of the people used to study at the same town, grow at the same town, and also do their profession at the same town. Today, that rarely happens. People have moved out, parents are left somewhere, children are somewhere else. And there are challenges in addressing needs of parents in terms of long-term healthcare needs. As a society, we've become very conscious about health. We've become proactive rather than reactive. If you look at all of this, there is something which needs to be done beyond hospital care. And that missing jigsaw puzzle, according to me, is home care. And that's the gap that Apollo Home Care is trying to address. So if I look at why Apollo in this, and what Apollo brings as a differentiator, first and foremost, Home healthcare is not a substitute to quality healthcare. You can't take away health out of it and just deliver home care. You need ground experience on actually handling patients in Indian scenario, understand the challenge of illnesses in India, the social challenges of reaching out to homes in India. And I think that's where Apollo has spent more than 3 decades and they understand it better than anybody else. The second thing that Apollo has always stood out for is dedication towards patient safety, towards patient care, patient outcomes. And we are always guided by this philosophy of excellence. We have never compromised on excellence for patient care. And more importantly, we talk of end-to-end integrated healthcare providers. We are not just a one-stop hospital or a home care or a pharmacy. It's a combination, it's a network of everything put together. If you look at the hospitals which are present across 40 locations in India, Tier 1, Tier 2 cities, we have the largest retail pharmacy chain. We have our clinics which are present in multiple locations within the cities, which enable us to reach out people earlier from different geographies of the city. We also have sugar, B positive, Apollo Munich Insurance. So all comprehensive integrated network is an ideal platform for any home healthcare company to take this forward in an end-to-end comprehensive manner. So what does home care stand for us? If you ask me what Apollo Home Care stands for, this is the message, ladies and gentlemen. Healthcare with human touch. When we select people, we select the people more for the attitude because we know we can train them on knowledge and skills, but we can never give the attitude to people. The second one is outstanding people, process, and technology. We don't want it to be an individual-driven organization. It's a process system-driven organization enabled by technology, but technology cannot take over the warmth of the human people. Multidisciplinary team approach. When you handle a patient in rehabilitation, you can't just do physiotherapy in isolation. You can't just do nursing care in isolation. It needs collaborative team effort to create the desired results onto people. Ethical and evidence-based practice, that's what we've always stood for, and we've been accredited by some of the leading agencies in the world, like Joint Commission International, putting a gold seal of appreciation of what values Apollo Hospital stands for. Continuity of care. If anybody looks back and says, what is single most important factor for positive outcomes in long term in healthcare? There is one factor which is consistently coming up, that is continuity of care. Within the hospital from A point to B point, from hospital to home, from home to clinics, from clinics to diagnostics, and everywhere continuity of care is important. The next thing is attitude to serve people. Taking care of a patient in hospital is very different from taking care of a patient at home. You need a lot of patience. You need a lot of warmth, compassion, listening skills, and also relate not just to the patient's illness, but also to concerns of the families. The last thing is empathy, education, and excellence. Our aim is not to make the families dependent on us. We want to educate them, enable them about their illness, and make them how to handle this illness. A portfolio of 100+ services divided into 3 baskets. Home visit programs, which could be by any healthcare provider for diagnostics, for procedures, etc. The second one is home partnership program. Particularly want to emphasize on the elderly care programs for the NRI dependent and the domestic dependent elderly people, chronic illness like COPD, CHF, post-discharge care, post-surgery for TKR and CABG, specialty care like creating home ICUs and going forward creating home chemotherapy and other things. Adult vaccination is an important area that we'll be focusing upon, and then comes the home nursing in terms of various grades of nursing services available at home. Next one. How do we achieve this? We are driven by 4 pillars of excellence. We get the people right, select them right, train them right through the Home Care Learning Center. Then we enable them right by giving the right processes and policies. Then we monitor them right with the help of the home care management, which looks at the logistics back-end support, and then enable them with technology in form of the home care hub, which connects all the stakeholders, the patient, the family, the primary physician, and the home care team in terms of sharing the information so that there is no gap anywhere. Next one. As of today, we are a 500+ member team. We'll be starting our operations in Hyderabad, Chennai, Delhi, and hopefully by the end of this month, we will also start at Bangalore, Kolkata, and Ahmedabad. And hopefully in the next 12 months, we'll be also present in more than 10, around 13 tier 2 cities is what we are talking about. And this number is only going to grow significantly because the need is huge in this country.